Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Grinding Gear Games have given a lot less information today. It's still a teaser of one of the support gems, and it's also one other piece of news, but where yesterday both of those had a lot to unpack in them, today is going to be a quick one. Today they teased Devour support. Now this causes killing blows from supported skills to consume corpses to recover life and mana. Perfect for the peckish Exile. However, my initial thoughts on this support gem are that it seems pretty disappointing, and I want to quickly go through why, having a look at the video in slow motion. So, here is the killing strike that is being fired off at the moment, and you'll see we'll jump forward one frame, and then we'll jump forward one more, and this will be the actual killing blow. So here, we've killed all the monsters, all the heralds are proccing. How long does it take until this Exile's very low life pool ends up being replenished? It is going to happen instantly on the 29th frame. So this is going to be quite some long period of time after you've actually killed the monsters. For this reason, I'm not too enthusiastic about this as a support gem that is used primarily to top off your life total during combat. I think that there's too much of a delay, and it's going to be a real problem when you fight one pack, you wipe them out, then you move to the next pack, and the damage that you've taken from the first pack plus the damage you take from the second pack ends up knocking you down on the ground before you gain the life from killing the first pack. That's the reason I'm not particularly enthusiastic about this. It is, as I say, 29 entire frames, although on that 29th frame you will see their life total jumps all the way up to full. However, there are two situations in which I can see this being used. The first one of them is to replenish mana very rapidly on a big mana build. We're going to need to see exact numbers on how this works, but it could be used in conjunction with Indigon or in conjunction with Archmage support on other skills. Big mana builds have been in a terrible place for a while, but who knows, maybe they're going to get some support they need here. The biggest problem with them is rapidly replenishing your mana pool, and if this solves that problem, then it may well have a use case there. The second scenario in which I can see this being used is alongside a secondary skill that's primarily used for Culling Strike. Now, the main time that you would actually have a secondary skill that could use Devour support is going to be if you're playing a build that does most of its damage through Corrupting Fever. On such a build, you might have Kinetic Blast linked to Culling Strike and linked to Devour support, or maybe you use Vile Power Siphon, which has built-in Cull linked to Devour support. Most of your kills are going to come from Corrupting Fever and Bleed Explosions, but the odd occasional one will come from your delivery skills Culling Strikes, and every time that happens, you're going to get a big burst of life and mana. Is this worth it? Probably not. I think I prefer life gain on hit instead. But at least in this situation, the opportunity cost of Devour support is considerably lower because your primary damage skill, Corrupting Fever, is not losing any damage because it is not linked to Devour support. So between not working on bosses, a 28 frame delay, a high opportunity cost, and also just the general inconsistency of this skill, I don't see this as being a very useful support in most situations, but I'm sure people will find niche uses. It is PathOfExile after all. Also, don't devour corpses in the domain of Timeless Conflict. There was a bug in 3.21 where corpses devoured in the domain of Timeless Conflict would not be reset, and that was fairly disappointing for people who were running that for XP. That is, of course, assuming that the domain of Timeless Conflict survives the 3.22 patch notes. And next we have an interesting keystone for Legion encounters. A lot of these new keystones are ones that are designed to make it so that you can get into a type of content a little bit earlier than you otherwise could. People who are already farming Legion at endgame are absolutely never going to allocate Timeless Conflict. If they have allocated it while they're leveling up, they're going to unspec it. The idea here is that Legion encounters in your maps have no timer, but instead breaking out monsters and chests that are in stasis progressively causes a schism. It's not entirely clear how this works, but most people are interpreting that there's going to be a progress bar. That progress bar is going to fill up as you start breaking things out of stasis, and when it fills up, the Legion monsters attack. This strikes me as something you will allocate early on if you want to get your feet wet in Legion content, but you're not yet powerful enough to handle breaking everything out of stasis. Timeless Conflict is also going to work better on builds that can turn off all their damage. Your goal here is going to be turn off all your damage, then activate the Legion Monolith, go and whittle down the sergeants, go and whittle down all of the chests, break them out at both ends. If there's a general present, break that out if you want to break it out. Then after that, just kill as many of the trash mobs as are necessary to set off the encounter. Once more, this is going to be less efficient than doing it the top end way, but this is not a keystone aimed at power gamers. This is a keystone aimed at people who are struggling with Legion, and I think it will be a valued improvement for that section of the player base while offering nothing to people who have already got a really powerful character. And I think that's a perfect spot for a number of keystones to be in. Once your character is powerful though, you should see it as a milestone at the point where you can unspec Timeless Conflict and never use it again, once you're able to handle Legion encounters in tier 16 maps without the extra help that comes from this Keystone. Anyways, I told you it was a quiet one today. I'm going to leave it there. And if you're looking for a bit more Path of Exile discussion in the interim, I will put up a link to a video that I did on crafting physical damage taken as Chaos helmets, which will be in the bottom left corner of your screen, at least if you're on PC. May your Varlobs have interesting results, and I will see you around.